Good afternoon, everyone. I find myself quite fortunate to wish you in the morning, in the afternoon as well. In my first session, I just took a pause for my introduction. So let me introduce myself today. And in fact, let me introduce all of us together as a panelist today. We are she. We are her. We are the one whom we don't need to prove to be empowered at any phase of life. We are the one probably in front of the mirror 10 times a day to see if we're perfect. We're the one a little hesitant to be there on the stage, be little hesitant to talk boldly for every single thing. We the one who might be boldly talking about every single thing. We little weird, we not little weird. That is what I can talk about us, but more to talk about all of us here. We all at par are the workforce of this world. We're here to just discuss a little about the in and out we go through every single day to be there at par with all of us together. So I have a wonderful friend, panelist here, who I want them to introduce themselves. In fact, I would be privileged to introduce them, but every woman has her own story, and I want the story of theirs to be through themselves. So I would request, in fact, both of yours, Meenakshi, if you could just go with a little introduction of yours, and I would then request Shalinee to go with her own introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Meenakshi Acharya, founder partner of RMA Legal, Advocates and Solicitors. We have set up law firm in 2015, having an experience and worked with esteemed law firm, that is Thakkar & Thakkar Law Firm, AZB and Partners, then a switch over to ARA Law Firm, and finally with Singhania & Co. And we then decided to set up a law firm, which is a full house law firm, along with my partner, Mr. Ravindra Avhad. And I focus on corporate sector, and my partner focus on litigation, maritime matters, shipping matters. In 2015, and it's till date, we are doing good, having matters, international and domestic clients. Myself, hello? Yeah, that's the introduction. Yeah. Shalinee, you can take it forward.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shalinee Fernandez. I'm a senior legal counsel with Ansell, an Australian multinational in the PPE industry. So yes, it's been a very busy time for us. I'm based out of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I am a Malaysian of Indian origin. I'm the third generation Indian in Malaysia. And it's been, when I look back at my portfolio and I see 19 years, that's when it really hits me like, oh my God. I can still remember being called to the bar in 2002, and I have no idea how time flew. I was a partner for 5 years, during which time I also had my own firm. And at some point I decided to move into the corporate world, being an in-house corporate counsel. And and I will probably share one or two stories later where I decided that the Malaysian market was getting too saturated for me. And that's when, as a young, I like to still think I'm young. So as a young single female, I then stepped into the Indian market, being a very exciting market in the area of ICT. So it's all part of my journey as a woman, and I really feel that a little bit of me that I today have gotten the platform to share. But I'll now pass it back to Sheetal to carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Thank you, Shalinee. I suppose all of us now understand why we are here, 3 ladies on the stage, along with all the ladies there into the audience. We're here to talk a little about women empowerment. We're not here to, as in I just mentioned, I just put this word, that we're not here to prove the women empowerment. We're just here to discuss women empowerment. We're just here to discuss about the ins and outs. That's the propaganda. That's basically what the agenda is for today. So let me start with Meenakshi. Meenakshi, if you could, you being into corporate field for this long, you have wonderful, I just was talking to Meenakshi yesterday as well, and she had her client outside, and we were talking about the cross-boundary things. So when we were discussing this, Meenakshi, I want you to tell our audience, in fact, I would request you to tell our audience, how would you define women empowerment? What is your experience as a woman in this field of corporate?
Okay. According to me, an empowered woman is a woman with a sense of responsibility, power to take decisions, power to make decisions, access to the opportunities that allowed me completely realize what are my capabilities and capacity to accept the challenges. It can be work front and office front, which definitely we have faced issues considering the law firms having long working hours and coping up with the household issues plus the work front and coming successfully throughout from it. So that is the woman empowerment, which we are able to tackle all the situations. That's it.
Well said, Meenakshi. In fact, I was supposed to come on this point. Ask me, I'm so sorry to say this, but ask me, I was a little confused what to wear in the morning because I was supposed to have 2 sessions. This is what basically every single day she was just talking about the household. My son is going through the final examinations. I make him sit in the morning. Fortunately, I have 1.5 hour time slot available. So he completes his examination. He completed yesterday his final examination. And I could be there for the conference, same as the way I did it today. I completed his final examination for today, and I came here a little late today. That is how I feel we all of them, from whatever culture, from whatever ethnicity, for whatever age you are, we all are facing the same issues. We all are on the same front. I was talking to the ladies on the participants, the delegates, the speakers yesterday, and all of us could come onto the same point, except Shalinee. She always was quite bold to say, I'm single. Otherwise, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I am a daughter-in-law, I'm a daughter. I'm taking care of these many people while I am a professionalist too. I'm a professional too. I'm a legal personality. That is how I could introduce myself. And me here is in representation to all of them who are sitting along with me, who are sitting in front of me. So that is, yes, I completely agree, Meenakshi, when you say household. When you say every single another element, we've been seeing Bharti since yesterday, roaming here and there. Roaming would be a wrong term for her. We've seen her struggling out with the technology, Bharti, if I'm not wrong. I'm so sorry, I forgot the name of this lady, Shireen. I've seen her struggling. In fact, I would be a wrong person. In fact, this is the correct time to involve a male here. With the kind permission of both of you all, I would just lead this one. Abhishek, I'm so sorry. I don't want you to be a victim. But I have a question for you, Abhishek. You being the organizer of this conference, we've been, all of us, we've basically, witnessed for how you've been going around the conference, and we've been seeing your team. So as an organizer and as a person, you being interacting with so many corporate people around, what you feel is women empowerment as a male counterpart?
Okay, so, well, my views are very positive towards women empowerment because this has come a long way in all the industry sectors. Working with event industry for almost 15 years, I've seen a tremendous growth of women, and I always appreciate this fact. And today we see as many women as men running this entire event. And the best example here is Bharti, who is the front face of the show. And
We completely agree with that.
with this, I would also like to thank Sheenie, our event partner, who is based out of Dubai. So she is taking complete care of the event production thing.
Thanks, Shireen.
And all the women in the house deserves a best accolade here. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Abhishek. Thank you. Thank you. Very true is that at every phase, at every point, I guess all of the males sitting here would be thanking their counterparts, female counterparts at the office, at home, to be here, in fact. But then sometimes I always feel, as being a lady, I feel women empowerment is always misunderstood and a little confused and used synonymously to the word feminism. What do you think, Shalinee? I mean, is there any experience of yours wherein you yourself has experienced feminism and women empowerment taken into synonymously?
See, I was very happy when I saw this question on that list of questions, and I immediately told Sheetal, I'm picking this question. I've been waiting for almost forever to address it, and I think today is probably the right platform. So, as Sheetal mentioned earlier, I'm single, and it's not because I hate men.
And this is seventh time Shalinee is telling us she's single.
And the reason is I've had to do this my entire life. I met someone very much later in life, and we are settling down. But throughout the entire years, all I've had is someone asking me, oh, so you're very career orientated. That means you won't get married. They are just dying to compartmentalize you. Every single turn you go, and then if you have an opinion, oh, that means she hates men. And, and then they'll try and stay away from you without even knowing your personality, without even knowing anything. And what I feel is, when we talk about, and I have been very, very vocal about one point, I am not a feminist. Here, I'm coming out. I don't know who's going to attack me after the conference by a mob of women, but I will say it. Simply because I fully support women empowerment. When you hear in certain countries, they're not allowed to vote. They're not allowed to drive. To me, it's very simple. Treat women like how you would treat any other human being. That's it. And I have one message for these feminists. I'm not anti-feminist either. So again, please don't compartmentalize. They want men to hold the lifts for them, and if you want full-on equality, then are you also prepared to hold the lift for men? I don't think so. So you've got to then decide, men and women can never be equal. But what we can do is respect each other as human beings. I mean, we are two different genders. And another thing that I take offense to, honestly, is when I achieve something and suddenly there's a mob of women on my Facebook. Go, Shalinee, women empowerment. Oh my God. I tell them that's very offensive to me. You could just say, go, Shalinee, good for you. Had it been a man, would you say men empowerment? Come on, go for it. No, right? So I've always struggled, and I always see this coming from women. The men are usually very quiet. I think most of the time they are being very careful. They don't want to say anything because they fear they'll unleash or open the Pandora's box. So I really respect the men here. They've been very nice and very, always very quiet. Just kind of assessing, looking at, who's going to burst out. And, so till today, I felt like for the longest time, there is really no need to keep asserting the fact that, hey, I'm a woman, I need this, I need that. No. If you've reached that stage where you feel that you've already acquired a certain respect, people should see beyond your gender, see you as an individual who can contribute to an organization, society, and all that. And to me, that is in all sense true empowerment, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. And that is what I've been trying to say. So Women's Day, I get a truckload of messages because people again in their mind are thinking, she's not married, she's going to love all these messages, but that's not the case. And today, I honestly feel that, and just another quick thing I'd like to say, I've always believed in furthering my career. And being an ICT lawyer, I'm now in manufacturing with Ansell, and India being a very huge hub, I told myself that's where I want to be. I want to be amongst the best. And I applied for about a year. And finally, I was interviewed with companies like Amazon Web Services, HCL Technologies, and I landed a role with Ola. So I told everybody, okay, bye guys, I'm heading off to India. Oh my God, you should have seen the Malaysians. Why? Why are you doing this? You're having a great life in Malaysia. Why are you doing this to yourself? Are you soul searching? I said, no. I'm going to a place where I know I will garner a lot of experience, and true enough, I did. It was the best experience of my life. We set up international operations across Australia, New Zealand. We worked, in such a great, I had the honor of sitting and having a chat with Bhavish Agarwal himself. I mean, how many people can say that? I come from a very small town in Malaysia, but the only thing stopping you getting to the next level is yourself, regardless of whether you're a male or female. So, when I did all that and I came back, so it was again taken as something very different. Like, how can a woman who's single do this, do that, So I think true liberation will only come when we respect each other and see beyond gender. And I think the same way needs to be for women. Women need to understand that we should not go on a gender bashing thing against men. We shouldn't. There's no reason. And I honestly have not encountered any sort of discrimination. I'll be very honest till now, except the time when I was a young lawyer and I was very excited to do criminal law. So I went and saw all the top criminal lawyers in Malaysia. The only thing they had to tell me, they said is, it's difficult for a girl to come into this because you got to go to the prisons, So that was the only little time I felt that I wasn't able to. And then I branched off into other areas. But I can say it's been a very fulfilling journey. Every Homo sapien I've met, regardless of whether they're men or women, have been very supportive. So honestly, that's my very, my take on this whole scenario. And I'm going to pass it back to Sheetal now.
Thank you so much, Shalinee. In fact, we would like to thank all of those male counterparts who said that you cannot practice criminal law, and that is how we could have you as a panelist and we could discuss with you here today. So in fact, always we say there is one door which keeps closed forever, we feel, but there is another door which he wants to open. She wants to open for you. Let's be little gender equal. Volura, if you don't mind, I would like to come to you and ask a little question. As you being a person in the corporate field, you being a wonderful speaker, you're a wonderful delegate. I just had discussions on a few points with you from yesterday. What is your experience as to gender equality or inequality in whatever ways you would like to put up in corporate field as you being one of the practicing IP attorneys?
Well, in developing countries like Bangladesh, the gender equality is always an issue. Feminism is always an issue. And just I was saying, when I used to work under my senior, just being a woman, and I never said no. I used to have a lot of works. So it was even 12 a.m. at midnight that I couldn't leave the chambers and everybody went home. And when it comes to pure corporates, like what my friends faces, even they stay late night, everyone questions. The males were out, why you had to stay for so long? What was the issue about? So it was not on the work, it was more about herself. So when it came to me as well, it was not about the work that I was given, but the issue was I was late. So when it comes to gender equality, the males, they never face these sort of questions. It's always the women, I have faced it, and I know that people at my age, even they still face the same. So yeah, we have a lot of conference and, this panel speaking about women empowerment and feminism and gender equality, but what affects is the impact. how much impact we can create. Yes, the positive, I would say that, yeah, the participants of the women numbers, it's increasing. I can see Bharti and several others, and we all, I mean, the number of participants for LexTalk, I mean, I'm impressed. There's so many women participating. So I think this is how we can, like in the high courts of Bangladesh, we have like 8 justices for the high court, and in the Supreme Court we have 1. But at least we have 1. In the parliaments we have around 100 female members. So I think since the numbers are increasing, I think we will come out of this mindset of the comparison. I think there are more positive ways ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. Truly quoted by her, I would say, when it comes to gender inequality, or rather, let's take it as gender equality, it's not the men who working with you always the reason as taking you aback or pulling you down, but sometimes society also plays a little more role. The people, as in Volora was just stating, as to what time you come back, how you come back, these are things which definitely play a role. But then, yes, I guess sky is the limit when it comes to role of women in legal profession. In fact, Meenakshi, I would like you to little highlight upon what do you think? What is the role of women in legal profession?
Yeah, Sheetal. See, I would like to restrict my conversation pertaining to corporate sector since we are focusing more on corporate. I feel women are empowered in corporate sector as compared to judiciary, because we all are aware that judiciary we are lacking. We are lacking female judges. We need female judges to handle more sensitive matters pertaining to sexual offenses, sexual violence matters. So, talking about corporate sector, globally, I feel women are given opportunity, a better standing, better value, and we definitely have a scope of work there in corporate sector. But of course, if there are definitely many hurdles, many impediments, which we definitely have to proactively act on it. Like if I compare about a pay scale, so there is a discrimination between a man and a woman. Like, when you want to hire an employee who is a woman employee, of course, a law firm definitely think about, okay, she's a female. If she's unmarried, of course, they think, okay, she's going to get married later, then maternity leaves. Then again, we have to give up paid leaves and all that. So this is the thought process which we actually think. I feel this is something which we have to change. Like whether when we are hiring a female, we have to accept it. Okay, like she is going to get married or whatever things, like we have to accept it. Not think about like, if she's a female, she will not work late nights or she'll have an issues. So because I have faced this when I was working in one of the law firm where like, going time is, there's no time. It's like early morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I used to rush home. Then again come back morning 10 o'clock just to complete the transactions. If there's a negotiation and finalization, some huge transactions, of course we have to get back to work. So this is something which we have to accept, and I feel the employers, speaking about huge big law firms or like a medium-sized law firm, we have to accept that. Accept and whatever like is the scenarios, accepting a woman employee. So all these things we shouldn't consider as a hurdle, like, a negativity sort of. Okay. That's what I feel.
So we could say that gender inequality, pay scales, we mean to say, they contribute. What is your experience, Shalinee, as you've been working with Indian companies, you've been into, cross boundaries as well. So what is your experience working with this diversely cultured, corporate, personalities, in fact, the bosses, as you said that you have 2 male bosses and you're happy working with them and then you have no experience of discrimination. But then is there any another experience you would, positive or negative or, any experience where culture played a role?
Thanks, Sheetal. Certainly, there's a lot of differences and diversity in each culture. I've worked in a French multinational, I've worked in an Indian multinational, and now Australian. And Malaysians, as our own, we also have our own separate culture, So, but I can't, probably, I would be very honest, I think the Indian culture is still, like a Malaysian Indian would be different from someone who's from India, But I think the silver thread that runs through is we are all about the same. I think we've reached that stage where we've come somewhat global, So whether you're based out of the UAE, whether you're based out of the United States, like in Ansell where I work, we've got a team of 8 lawyers spread across all jurisdictions. I think the majority of us are women. And our bosses, it's never even occurred to me that, they've put us in any funny situation because I think they've reached that stage of evolution. My boss, he's from Brussels. And when I told him about this conference, the first thing he said was, go, it's like very supportive regardless. I think we've reached that stage that we've again gone beyond that. But naturally, there will be certain instances where I've seen that women are still viewed differently, very different. And sometimes, you try so hard to have someone look at you as a person, but yet they keep going back to their archaic notions, And that is what I feel that we really need to, it's still a long road for us to free ourselves from that conception at least,
So basically what I feel out of this conversation is we need to break the glass instead of others pulling us up or pushing us out. In fact, it is we need to groom ourselves, not to bother little about things we usually bother. We need to change perspective ourselves instead of talking about the world, what the other individual or other group of people are looking at us. Yes. So it is basically you need to change yourselves. Sunanda ma'am, I would like to come to you as you being an academician, and I then again repeat the same thing. I'm so proud. What is your experience, as in we just were talking about the culture, because when it comes to academics, there are diversely cultured students. You have your male, female counterparts, the university personalities, and they are management personalities who shall be a part of your routine. So what is your experience when it comes to, I want you basically to talk about feminism, gender equality. It's all open to you.
Okay. So insofar as our teaching is concerned, we have a subject by the name of feminist legal theory, okay, wherein we talk about feminist jurisprudence, we talk about feminism, and we also talk about how it is not understood properly, this expression feminism. Because feminism, legally speaking, or feminism insofar as the jurisprudence of it is concerned, is totally different from how it is perceived and understood by most of us. Feminism is all about getting equal rights and equal opportunities. That is what feminism is all about. So I would openly declare myself as a feminist. But then why is it known as, why is it that we use the term feminism then? Why not call it something else, right? So that's the obvious question. And the reason behind that is that it is, historically speaking, and across the globe, it is the woman experience that has been, that doesn't find a place, right? Insofar as development of legislations, laws is concerned, or anything else, right? So it is that element that is missing. It is the perspective of women, perspective of how a woman would be looking at things, perceiving things, and understanding things would be very different, obviously, from how a male would be looking at things, right? So that bit has been, there is a vacuum there insofar as laws are concerned, right? And that is the reason why we call it, feminism or feminist, that I'm a feminist and all that. So yes, so the problem, as you want me to speak about how the students react and how they take it, it's basically a problem of the mindset, as as you all were also mentioning and discussing, and which brings me to a very sort of an interesting, I would say, experiment that I do in my classes. Most of my classes, I ask this question, and I would put this question to all the audience here. How many of you, and you can answer by a raise of hands, how many of you have working mothers? How many of you have working mothers? Yeah, so see, this is the mindset. For me, mothers are working all the time. All the mothers are working mothers. Isn't it?
That's the perfect one.
Think about it. Think about it. So it is basically this mindset that we need to target. It is this thought process, this basic feeling that unless and until, so everything that is monetized has value. A certain work, which is household work or categorized as household work, since it is not monetized, since there's no salary against it.
It's the reason for others' monetization, I would say.
It is invisible work, and it is not given that much value, right? So this is basically, this is the reaction. And this is what we need to change, and we are getting there.
Completely agree. In fact, just breaking the little rules, I just want to come to any of the males, if you could answer me this question with the kind permission of my panelist. How many of y'all's, or in fact, I would just, little change the question. How many of female counterparts or colleagues you do have in your association or organization? Now, this is my part to play. Since yesterday, I've watching him doing his part.
Well, this is a bit of a tough position. I think if you'd asked me just a year and a half ago, my answer would have been very different. So I worked in a chamber where actually I think 80 or 85% of the juniors alongside me were women, which is actually quite an anomaly for the chamber of a senior in the Supreme Court in India.
I just want to interrupt you. The senior is a male or a female? I'm so sorry to ask you this question.
He's a male. He's a gentleman, Mr. Salman Khurshid. So a majority of his juniors, actually even now, I've left his chamber now, started my own firm. The answer there is, under his chamber, yes, a majority were and still are women lady lawyers. In my own firm, the first associate we hired was a woman. But unfortunately, she decided to leave us, and we're still trying to fill that hole. But bit of a mixed answer from me. It used to be pretty high proportion. Unfortunately, right now, not that high.
Not an issue. That was a fantastic answer. In fact, how many? I mean, this is again for a lady. But then, how many female colleagues you do have in your legal firm? I'm sorry, Bharti, I'm making you run from here and there. I'm so sorry.
Hi. I mean, it's quite a bit. Like at Anand and Anand, we have a lot of female lawyers, and surprisingly, even in litigation. But I think we have more females in the patent department and the trademark department. Having said that, my own team, from my paralegal to my junior most colleague, are all females, and I've had a great experience working with them. And even today, like at the Delhi High Court, like I agree there are not that many female judges, but there are a lot of litigating lawyers at the Delhi High Court. So I just since I've got this opportunity to speak, I also want to add something to what Shalini said, and I completely relate to what she said. That even though even I have never personally experienced discrimination, because I have been very vocal about it and I have not let it affect me. But it's out there, and we keep talking about feminism, and I don't really think that the fact that you have coined a word called feminism itself, that you are putting females in a separate bracket. We are not asking for a separate bracket. All we are asking is that you have to give us equal rights, considering the fact there is a little bit of gender inequality in the sense that males and females are not identical. But don't put us in a bracket that, or don't, if anytime we speak about this subject, don't call us, here there's a feminist here. So, and I face that all the time, but I am pretty much doing everything which a man can do. So it's about time that we should get our due, and across all sectors of the society, across all cultures. So definitely great topic, and you guys are doing an excellent job.
Thank you so much. We need the booster. Okay. Yes, sir, please.
Sheetal,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. You asked a very interesting question, and I've got a very interesting observation to make in this context. I'm 66 running now. When I have almost 42 years experience as a trial lawyer in civil litigations in the Madras High Court. Believe it or not, when I got enrolled in the year 1980 and entered into the bar, in the entire Madras High Court campus, only 3 women lawyers were practicing.
Right.
Today, in 2020, 2019, pre-COVID, 45% of the practitioners were women. And we were able to see a phenomenal change in the practitioners, particularly in the litigation side, because I'm on the trial side. And women are fantastically, they're doing a very good, great job. I, as a trial lawyer, can understand women doing a trial work, phenomenal. So, when it comes to gender equality of females, I think in the legal profession, especially the civil litigation side, women are really doing a very good job. And at times, we know that when certain lady lawyer appears, hey, she's a tough nut to crack. You have better brace yourself. So that's the kind of thing. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you, thank you.
In fact, I feel we should just little change the word gender inequality. I'll come to you. Thank you. Gender inequality as to gender in the equality. So that has to be, in fact, as I could, conquer from the discussions of ours and all ours, in fact. Yes, you had a...
Just a quick comment. Though the number can be a very important indicator for women empowerment, of course, we have reached that stage where we can say, oh, we have so many women in litigation, etc., or in the legal industry. But I think it's time to look beyond that and see the kind of obstacles they're facing. Why are so many women not continuing into litigation after a certain age? So are they facing any obstacles, and what are they, and how can they be addressed? Because
in fact, I would like to add a little, not at a certain age, but the initiation or the idea of getting into litigation is also concerned.
So I was doing a host of webinars, and trust me, just by being a speaker, I could attract women who would come and say, you are helping me break the glass ceiling, just by being there on that platform. And trust me, I came across so many trollers initially when I started doing those webinars. They said, look how desperate she is to do a webinar when I was speaking on a very, very mainstream legal topic. So we cannot put blinkers on and just try to see the good picture. I have had amazing colleagues. Mr. Khurshid sitting here was a colleague too, is a colleague as he insists. So yes, I was very fortunate to work under Mr. Salman Khurshid, who was amazing. But it could be because since he had the exposure of working with many powerful women leaders across the globe. But what I find with other people, not just with men, but even with women, we are not culturally ready to accept powerful women leaders. Women who take initiative, who make their own decisions, who ask people to do their job. We feel very, very uncomfortable. And I think it's time to get over that. Only then we will be able to say that women empowerment has happened. And as a collective, we are losing out on so much resources when we do not do that. Because if a woman in your team is not feeling confident enough to contribute to her best, we are losing out so much because at the end of the day, we are paying her. So if we can get the best out of her, that will, I think, be a very important step in the growth of the industry. Thank you.
Sheetal, can I just, sorry.
Yes. In fact, I want both of yours to contribute to this.
Yes, very good point. And, I think like what even Prachi mentioned and both you mentioned, we are probably privileged enough because it has never happened to us. But I've had women who've actually come up to me and say, you've inspired me. I never had the same opportunities you had. You were blessed. You never came across all these struggles that I did. And I take it. And where I can help them, I do. I mean, how many people have those privileges anyway, So certainly, what I feel that we definitely have a long way to go is we shouldn't be viewed as in a negative manner when we are placed on the same pedestal as men. Like, oh, is she trying to assert herself? What is she trying to do? And we try so hard. And Sheetal, I have to say this today. I took pains wearing a dress today. I wanted to wear trousers. But I said, oh my God, I'm talking about women empowerment. So I need to tone it down. Let's look a bit feminine. I want to come to a day where I don't need to do that. See, I'm sharing something very personal here. And I think Sheetal, but she told me, she said, I'm wearing sari today. So, but we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. And I think we've not quite reached that stage. But the very fact is we are moving. Definitely we are moving. And let's hope the next time, we have this conversation, we would have moved.
Yes. In fact, there is this, if we're talking about the dressing sense, there's a diversity here as well. So women can think from any perspective and they can, the sky's the limit. Meenakshi, you want to contribute? Yes. This was wonderful panel discussion and I thank all the panelists. In fact, it wasn't just limited to 3, thanks to Bharti as well. To just conquer this and conclude this session, I just want to say for all of the women present here or omnipresent here in the hearts of all of these men who are sitting in this room is what is women empowerment through this discussion is. It is achieving what you want to and overcoming everything that was meant to destroy you. So that's the only thing I could put up in front of you, and all salute to all of these women who are present, probably virtually listening to us. And thank you so much for the panelists, and thank you all for being so patient to listen women empowerment. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Thank you everyone.